Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
Happy Friday, everybody. And as always, it's a great day to be a Trojan. Here I am. I'm Tim Prangley. As the week has gone by pretty slow and pretty sluggishly, but I am done. Getting ready to be joined here by my editor over at Trojans Wire, Matt Zemek, to once again talk to you guys about Trojan football. This is Conquest call-in show. It's the only call-in show that's dedicated to you guys as the caller, to bring your energy, bring your information, because I'm not going to lie, it's been one heck of a week for me. I've got a headache from here to the other side of the 405 freeway right now. So I'll be definitely relying on you guys to bring some energy and some calls. We already have calls stacking up, so make sure you get in here, because I will tell everybody right now, this headache, I'm here for as long as you guys are making calls. When you do call in, please make sure you have your speaker down and you have your question or your statement you want to make, because we're going to make this thing roll. On that note, Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm just glad you're almost at the end of your ordeal. We don't need to go into the specifics, but like, you have lived through the book of Job for the past month, and it's almost over. So, you need to have the biggest damn party tomorrow night when it's all over. I'll just leave it at that.
If I'm still awake, if I'm still alive, then we will definitely keep that in mind. Yeah, anybody that's ever done any kind of ordeal going through kind of like a board certification knows that it's just step after loophole after step after step after step. And I am now finally, very close to being done. Okay, so let's get started, Matt, right? Ready to go. We have a caller already on board. Really quick, just wanted to go over a couple of topics with you guys. I wanted to really talk about two things in general. The first one being just, I think, kind of lack of respect. USC is a 6.5-point underdog to LSU at Allegiant Field in Las Vegas to kick off the season. That was kind of a bit, I mean, I wasn't surprised that they were a dog, but almost a touchdown dog, considering the fact that, LSU's guys own roster issues as well. That's one issue. And then the other thing we could talk about is some of the schedule. We all know the schedule. I've been gone. We've been off and on for a while. We can talk about the football schedule, and can USC's depth inside? This is the big concern. I think our front line's fine, but are we a bit weak in the middle, in the front, in order to go through an entire Big Ten season? That's the other topic I wanted to hit. Matt, anything you're curious about?
I'm curious about a lot of things, but I'll just say let's get the calls rolling.
Let's do it. First up, I actually know who this is because they called in a minute ago. Augie, thank you so much for calling. What are you up to tonight?
Just enjoying the weather. The overcast cleared up here in the great old 805 Oxnard, and I use USCJ's words. I was kind of lost in the sauce last week, and the gentleman you had on, Trader, he should be the think tank for the O-line. That man's tremendous. He's heady. He studies the game, and it would be an honor if he would wear Anthony Munoz's number, in his honor. But that's just a suggestion from my part. But getting back to, these haters, we're getting a lot of that from media, other people posting stuff, social media and all that. And, in the tradition of the Trojan horse, I like to keep that secret in our bag. I like to keep our playbook and not revealing our secret sauce, as USCJ would say. And we're going to blow some minds. I have faith in the process, and with the team and the pieces in place, I'm just going to trust the process. And like I said, that Pigley, they can keep it wherever in Oops, Alabama, or wherever they are in the Ozarks or lost in the mountains, as they say. But just keep doing what you guys are doing, and if people just have faith, that ship has set sailed, and we're going to be all right. I just have faith and thanks for taking my call.
Oh, as always, Augies, I appreciate you calling in. It's funny you said the thing about Anthony Munoz, because I was actually going to try to get a hold of Anthony and see if he could come on the show at the same time as Hayden Treater. But I didn't know if that Friday show was going to come off, and the last thing I want to do is call a Hall of Famer to set up an appointment to join us and not be able to make that appointment. So, Hayden, if you're out there, I know we could work that out, but I wanted to make sure that if I was going to bring Anthony on, and I couldn't do it last minute, Hayden and I had kind of figured out the time for him. I wasn't really sure, so I did not want to call. But that's interesting you said that. Matt, any thoughts on Augie's comments?
Not especially. What I was, just an admission, I was looking up, and we have this in the chat. I was looking up the betting line, and I just saw on FanDuel that LSU is a 6.5 point favorite over USC. So, and I sent you a tweet just to confirm that.
Yeah, well, there's been some weird stuff going on because I got excited. USCJ has a great video out, not just talking about the line, but on ESPN, I verified this. I went over to ESPN, and ESPN had USC as a 6.5 point favorite, not the 6.5 point dog. I think that's obviously someone's going to get a talking to when they're whoever's entering the information, because there was a data entry problem there. But yeah, I a touchdown, that's quite a bit. You know what I mean? They must think a lot of Nussmeier, because I'm just gonna say I'm not too sure that they're gonna outscore USC by that kind of, it's only a touchdown, but it just, to me, knowing so little about both teams, it just seemed like a strange number a line to come out, given what we know. And there's no credit to this defense that USC is building.
And you know what?
Well, I'll take the odds, and I'll take the over. I think we're going to do better than 7.5. So I'll go with that.
But here's the thing. I think this is great. This is just free motivation for USC. It shoves all the pressure on LSU to have to live up to that. So, the line is BS, but it's great. This is just natural bulletin board material that you can't fake, you can't manufacture. Bring it on. It's exactly what I want this team to have, is just a revved up engine ready to prove everybody wrong in 2024.
I think, Jeff, where are you seeing that 6.5? If you're talking about ESPN, that one was there. I verified it. I saw Jay's video, and I looked at it.
Jeff acknowledged the correction down as you scroll down. So
I'm a bit behind. Okay, my bad.
Good there.
Right. Well, thanks again, Augie. I hope you call us next week. Should be a little more lively. I think I'm going to try to get a guest for us next Friday. Now that I've been, as Matt said, I've been liberated. I'm gonna be having a little more time back into the show. It's been a bit sparse the last month or so. I got to tell you, I'm not really up on news either. I've been knee deep in work. So thanks again.
One last comment, Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, if you need some humor, watch a Red Fox skit where he plays Coach John McFox. And it just kind of hilarious, where the Coach Fox is trying to put this team together. And I think if you need little light on the subject, it would bring a good laugh.
I will do that. Fight on, Augie. Thanks for calling.
You're welcome.
Okay, so callers, that means the line is open. I want to take the second here while we're waiting to acknowledge Megan. Megan had been a great supporter of the show, huge supporter of Pete Carroll and the Seahawks as well. And she's been here from day one. Megan, love you being here. As always, appreciate you being a part of the channel. Caller, thanks for calling in. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Tim, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How's it going?
Good, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Hope you guys are doing well. I just had a quick question. So when you look at the schedule this year, Ohio State has 8 home games, and they play mostly cupcakes. Alabama's got to go at Oklahoma, LSU, Tennessee, Wisconsin. Florida has a horrible schedule, obviously. And we have to go at Michigan. We have to play LSU, of course. We're playing Penn State. So the parity in the schedules there's such disparity in the schedules that you really can't base playoff selections on the team's records. So until that's fixed, I kind of feel like a 9-3 USC team could be as good as, if not ranked higher, than an 11-2 team that has a weak schedule. So how would you guys factor in the disparity in schedule strength when considering what record USC needs to make the playoffs?
Well, I'll just say it. I hope that the committee is factoring both the seeding, right? So there's going to be. I'm not sure that USC. Let's just assume. Okay, let's just play this game. It's a pretty big schedule. USC has not been building this roster like some other programs. They did not have the offseason like Oregon did and Ohio State did. So let's just step back a little bit and say USC is vying for one of the at-large positions. Let's go there. Let's say that SC does not win. This is our hypothetical, right? Does USC get in a 9-3 record, as you said? Assuming that two of those losses, maybe both of them are lost to ranked LSU and ranked Notre Dame. USC might find itself somewhere near the top of the Big Ten or any combination thereof. And it's going to be interesting to see because we've heard for a long time about schedule and strength of schedule and how important that is. But Matt, this is when we're going to see if this committee does value that for those at-large positions.
Yeah, well, so Adam, I think the biggest thing to bring up here, it's not so much that Ohio State plays 8 home games because, the power schools, they stack up, lots of those home cupcake games to create an imbalance between home and road games. Like you very rarely see the Ohio States, Alabamas, Michigans, Oklahomas of the world playing 6-6. It's usually 7-5. This year it's 8-4 for Ohio State home versus away. The really big issue that you indirectly bring up, Adam, by talking about schedule disparity, is just that the SEC is staying at 8, and a lot of us, myself included, thought that when the SEC moved to 16 teams with Texas and Oklahoma, that they're gonna have to get off that dime. They're gonna have to go to 9, right? ESPN, Disney, they're gonna want that extra inventory. No way they don't get 9. No, the SEC stood pat at 8 so that Alabama and Georgia can play the Citadel, in the middle of November before their rivalry game, as well as an FCS cupcake, in early September as well. They got 2 cupcakes, if not 3, and of course, no one ever punishes them for it. And that's the other piece of this puzzle. That if playing the Citadel in November punished you in end of the season rankings, they wouldn't do it, but they do it because they know they're always going to get away with it. So to me, the 9 versus 8 disparity between the Big Ten and the SEC, that is the biggest problem. That they really both need to be at the same number. Big Ten really ought to consider going down to 8 if the SEC is not going to move. If ESPN and Disney can't extract that 9th game in future seasons from the SEC, it's interesting. I have some freelance writing gigs. I've been looking at these SEC teams' schedules. Like Ole Miss doesn't have to play Alabama, and other SEC contenders. They get to duck either Bama or Georgia. In some cases, both. Texas A&M has a really nice schedule as well. Doesn't have to deal with some of the teams it's had to play in recent years, and that you get that with an 8-game schedule. With 9. Some of these SEC teams, they would have to play a tougher schedule, but right now they don't. Several SEC teams are playoff contenders. Ole Miss, Missouri being 2 really good examples because they get all sorts of schedule breaks. And USC is obviously since USC is in the Big Ten, doesn't get that same benefit of the doubt. So that's the thing. That's the big national issue. That if we had a grown-up, if we had an adult in the room governing these things, someone would say, SEC, Big Ten, you have to be playing the same amount of games. So whether it's the SEC moving up to 9 or the Big Ten going down to 8, we would have leadership in the sport to create a streamlined, regulated standard. So like USC, if we played 8, USC before playing, let's say Notre Dame at the end of the season, USC could play San Jose State. Not an FCS team. USC would never do that. USC never has done that. But you could play like a breather game against a lower tier FBS school to get that kind of advantage that Alabama and Georgia have had for decades. But no, we don't have any adults in the room in college football, Adam.
And the issue is also is
Yeah.
it doesn't get any easier, Adam, next year because you have Ole Miss on the schedule. So Ole Miss is ducking some non-conference this year, Matt, but USC has Ole Miss on the non-con next year. That's going to be a big matchup. And it's not even, I mean, it's the 8 games, but to the 9 games. But it's like Matt was talking about. If you have that rent-a win that you can bring in, have all your starters out early, you let them heal up and you keep them from getting hurt. USC bangs itself up this year, being in the Big Ten. And I'll tell you, where do you think LSU and Notre Dame this year would rank if they were in our conference schedule? We're playing 2 teams that are better than the majority of our conference. So that's the situation you're going to have. Is USC is like almost inflicting, self-inflicting wounds because we're thin at defensive line and interior for sure. And now we're going to play a 9-game gauntlet in the Big Ten. As on top of that, then we're going to take on LSU and Notre Dame. That, go ahead and try to find me a team that plays 11 tougher teams than USC's playing this year. I mean, there's going to be a couple, but not many.
Well, I completely agree with you. And when I look at, for example, the NFL or Major League Baseball or even college baseball, there's parity in the schedules so that you can have faith that the rankings reflect the team's records. But when you have USC playing this schedule, and honestly, some of the SEC teams have murderous schedules, like Florida, for example, and Alabama too. So how can you say that a team with a weaker schedule, like Ohio State, would have that same record if they had USC's schedule or Georgia's schedule or Alabama's schedule? You can't. So that invites all this subjectivity into the playoff rankings, which I think is really a shame because you really can't rely upon the record to determine quality of the teams. And I think that's got to be fixed before we can truly have a legitimate playoff. But thanks for listening to my points, guys. And great show as always. And talk to you soon.
Awesome, Adam. Haven't heard from you in a while. Appreciate you calling in. Yeah, great thoughts from Adam as always, Matt. It does beg the question on what we're doing schedule-wise. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how long these games were on the schedule before we knew we were entering the Big Ten. So, that goes a long way with it. Next caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Jackson Johnson from Meridianville, Alabama. How you guys doing tonight?
Good, Jackson. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I wanted to discuss a little bit about the early TV schedule, like USC Michigan being on CBS. How you guys feel about that?
It's just a flash to the back, to the past. I mean, I'm trying to remember last time. USC has played on CBS, but it's not very often. It's going to be great. I mean, I don't know too much, Matt. Maybe you could do a little backfill on this as far as what the TV contracts look like, what's the lineup, who gets first pick, etc. But I'd be interested to hear that if you have any information, Matt.
Well, so this caught me as a surprise. I mean, if you've been watching this show here at the Voice of College Football in the offseason, you've heard me say several times that, one should expect USC Michigan to be a Fox Big Noon Saturday game, and it wasn't. And the reason for this, and Jackson knows this pretty well because he's an Alabama fan, Fox picked Alabama, Wisconsin over USC Michigan as one of its first Big Noon Saturday games. Now, in this rotation involving Fox, CBS, and NBC, Fox gets first choice because Fox is the main Big Ten rights holder. And then NBC had second pick, CBS third pick. So Fox basically said Alabama, Wisconsin's a bigger draw for us than USC Michigan. And I understand that passing up the opportunity to televise Alabama, obviously that's what Fox valued, and I understand that. But boy, isn't USC Michigan the bigger game this year? If only because of the novelty of USC being in the Big Ten. In 5 years, USC being in the Big Ten, that's going to be normal business. But this year, it's fresh, it's new, and Michigan is the defending national champion. So, Jackson, I was surprised by that. I will say, however, that I'm sure USC players and coaches are thrilled to not be playing that body clock game, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. They get that 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific slot. That's better for game preparation. It's better for USC's chances of winning. So, it is not costly in any meaningful sense that USC isn't on big noon Saturday, and it helps USC materially that the game is mid-afternoon in the East, and it's lunchtime in the West. So USC could actually benefit from that. So like it's good for USC, but it still does rate as a surprise, because I certainly thought Fox, after Fox wanted USC in the Big Ten, and Michigan is the biggest road game USC is going to play all season long, and yet Fox passes that up. That was just a real shocker to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna
Go ahead, Jackson.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens, and I'm excited about it. I just wonder if we'll see like USC Wisconsin on NBC, but we'll know that by the time it gets closer to week 4. But when it gets to rivalry week, I just wonder if we're gonna see Notre Dame USC on NBC, or if we're gonna see Oregon Washington on NBC.
It's probably just going to be a matter of how they're playing, right? I mean, they pick, they're going to look for the team that's playing. But Matt, sorry, go ahead.
Well, Jackson, because NBC still has a Notre Dame contract, I think you're going to see that game be NBC every year. It's in South Bend, and then I would say Fox and CBS are going to split it when it's in Los Angeles, and would probably go to Fox most years, but NBC will regularly get that game when it's in South Bend just because of the contract.
Awesome as always, Jackson. Thank you so much for calling in. I hope you call in next week.
And listen to the Jacksonian. And Jackson, what's your latest episode of the Jacksonian?
Well, my next 2 episodes are going to be with Matt Torres from Scoot Duck at On 3, and I'm also going to be having Steve Hellwagon from Buttnuts 247. So it's going to be an exciting lineup next week.
Nice. So make sure to check out Jackson on the Jacksonian, you guys, and I will look forward to hearing from you next week, Jackson.
All right. Y'all stay safe, stay cool, stay away from that pollen.
All right, guys, I'm going to get to you guys. We got the calls stacking up a little bit. We got 3 calls in the queue right now. Just wanted to, actually, no, we'll take this call first, and then we'll get to the other stuff. Thank you, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, guys. It's Dave from Iowa.
Dave, how you doing?
Good. All right, so I'll get right into it. So I know it was a couple of weeks ago, but I wanted to talk about the Derek Harmon situation. First off, I think what happened was total BS in terms of him going to Oregon and USC not going all in and matching Oregon financially. I agree with what Matt said when Matt talked about it, but disagree with you, Tim. Tim, you alluded to Harmon as a mid-nose tackle, and he wasn't worth overpaying with a position of need. My question for you is, if Harmon is mid, what is Kobe Pepe then? Because it looks like he's going to be the starter this season since USC since USC hasn't landed a nose tackle in the transfer portal.
Right. So is Kobe Pepe getting reported 7 digits right now, or 6 digits in the upper 6 digits? I don't think so. I also am looking at it's there's no doubt about it. There's you think I'm going to sit here and say that, hey, look, don't worry, we're good. I mean, look at what the title of this show is. I mean, there is a huge issue that happened. I think that they're saying, hey, we're not in a position. I think USC's NIL is a lot better, a lot stronger, a lot healthier. I just don't think that's in a position to go at. Look at what's going on. I mean, Oregon has the money to do this every single year. Ohio State's making a big push. They got a bunch of guys coming back, and they went into the portal. So they paid a lot of people on the team to stay, and they paid a lot of money in the portal to get this team. They're shooting their wad here, man. They're going for it. They want a national championship. That's why Oregon and Ohio State are favored to win the conference because of their roster. But a lot of that roster at Ohio State will be gone. They spent a lot of money. I wonder, and I'm just speculating, that Ohio State always does very well in the high school ranks. And they will continue to do so. Is how much money do they have? Are they a situation like Oregon where they're at infinite money? That very well could be, but we're going to find out.
Well, the thing is,
I understand. I do understand what you're saying in terms of the opposing schools. like what I was trying to get at was like, Tim, it's pretty harsh to call Harmon a mid-nose tackle when he has more career tackle, or he has almost as many career tackles than Kobe Pepe does in career snaps.
By mid, I'm not saying that he's subpar, right? I'm saying he's all right. He's good. Where do you think Harmon's going to go in the draft next year?
Top 4 round, maybe, if he does have the good of the season that the transfer portal rankings are are ranking him as.
I would caution you, Dave, at looking especially those transfer rankings. Things are a mess. But the top guys, we know the top guys are transferred. We've seen them on the field. But I would be shocked if he was like a day, if he was a top 3 round pick, right? And so my question to you is, to me, he would have been an instant improvement for us without a doubt. Okay. But what are you trying to get me to apologize for it? No, because I think that this coaching staff knows how much money they have to spend, and they're not looking just at nose tackle. You have to look at this big picture, Dave. You can't just blow your money. They are working with a finite amount of money. As much as it's better now, they can't just start throwing money all over the place. They're looking to land a really good high school class, which we've all wanted them to do. Where do you think a lot of this money is going to be going? Is to that high school class. So, Dave, they're going to be in trouble in the middle, right? Look no further than when we go into Ann Arbor and what they're going to go for, because I look at the title of this thing on the thumbnail I put. The interior defensive line is going to be the Achilles heel of this team. The question is going to be, have they upgraded coaching and on scheme enough, right? And depth, and can our linebackers stay healthy? There's so many questions to this defense. That yes, it would have been great to have Rakes and have a Hardman backing him up. Absolutely. Okay. But clearly that wasn't feasible because, like we talked about on the show ad nauseum, defensive tackle was a hot commodity this year and probably always will be in the portal. And the fact that you have the finite amount of guys that are about 6'2" to 6'4", 310 to 330 pounds that move athletically, they're going to ask for a lot of money, regardless if they're actually worth that money, right? Supply and demand. I mean, a lot of big time teams, like big money teams, Texas, LSU, USC, Oregon, they wanted to get deeper at nose tackle. It was going to be expensive. And unfortunately, USC lost out. So before anyone comes back in a couple of weeks and says that I'm totally fine with our situation, guys, read the thumbnail for God's sake.
Yeah. One of the things I would.
All right, Tim. But
one of the things I'd reemphasize here is that while we can debate whether it was uniquely valuable to get Derek Harmon, and like you don't want to overpay for someone who's not going to give you a large number of splash plays, or at least if you're not convinced he's going to create a Bear Alexander level of impact, then the idea of not overpaying or not going all out to land him, I get that. But something definitely went wrong here. And I think, with Isaiah Rakes leaving, again, usually when a guy leaves in the portal, I'm not saying that applies to this situation, but usually when a guy leaves in the portal, such as Rakes, it usually means that someone else is coming in to fill that spot, and that hasn't happened. And so something went awry. And my best explanation for this is that Isaiah Rakes just played USC, and I'm not even blaming Lincoln Riley or the people involved in Rakes's recruitment for this. I'm just saying Rakes exploited this loophole where you can't play at an SEC school for the next season unless you transfer to another program in the winter portal, and then you're allowed to transfer to that SEC team in the spring. You can't transfer directly to another SEC school and be eligible to play. Rakes just went A&M, USC winter, Auburn spring. He exploited the loophole in the rule. And so, one of the things that we need to see happen, it's not talking about anything that Lincoln Riley can do, but administratively, we need to close that loophole. We need to get rid of that loophole. If you transfer in either the winter or spring windows, that's your school for the next year. That's your school for the next cycle. None of this transfer to USC in winter so that you're then eligible to play at Auburn when you transfer in the spring. Like that, I mean, how that loophole even existed is a bunch of BS, but Isaiah Rakes exploited it. And because Rakes left, that itself is, to me, a very compelling reason to overpay for Derek Harmon. But as the people are saying in the chat, and I think it's a fair point, if they really did feel they were desperate, actually, Jeff Rodriguez made the point. If USC really did feel it was desperate, it probably would have, backed up the Brinks truck, but it didn't. So maybe that tells us that, Coach Henne, woof, can do enough dog work with the guys he has to bring this thing home. We'd love to see it happen. And I think that there is a sense at USC that, hey, give Coach Henne, give this defensive staff a full recruiting cycle. They're going to win a lot of these recruiting and portal battles in the next cycles that slip through their fingers this time. That might be also part of the thought process at USC.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Jay Toya, but it doesn't mean that Danton Lynn needs a Jay Toya in order to have a successful defense. And it's not like the last couple of years we've had 320-pound nose tackles as well. Yes, I get it. That's why there are issues. That's why guys can double and triple even sometimes Bear Alexander and chip on him. But the problem is going to be is USC has to look big term. Does anyone here in this chat, or Matt, yourself, does anyone think that we actually know the budget that USC has, the players they have on the line? And there are smart people in the room. It's message board mania when people start talking that they know more than the coaching staff, And I think that you need to realize that this team wants to win. These coaches want to win. USC is paying a lot of money. Look at the news, about the buyout for Lincoln Riley and how much this is costing them. USC is not nickel and diming like they've done in the past. USC is going for it. The question is, how much money do they have to do that? And as we're here, this would be a great time, you guys, as we're sitting here talking about, NIL and Oregon and Ohio State and Texas A&M, et cetera, on Texas and on down the line. When was the last time you guys gave money to the House of Victory? Because you guys can get in there for as cheap as $50. If you guys are big Trojan fans and you want to be critical of the players we're getting, maybe we should drop some money as well before we start doing that. Anything else for you, Dave?
The thing is, Tim, I would, but see, the thing is, Tim, I agree with you in terms of that sense. But the thing is, I'm afraid the ROI isn't worth it for football, but it is for women's basketball at USC.
Well, I'll tell you what, the play on the court / field was a hell of a lot better on the hardwood than it was at USC last year. What do we argue? Do you really think that they're paying these people like the money that Rakes was asking for, or do you think that any of them outside of maybe Juju, maybe is getting money anywhere clear that we need to everyone needs to slow a little bit down. You want to say I don't know what I'm talking about? I don't. You know why? Because I don't know the money SC has. All I do know is that USC is better. They are spending money. And if they could have got a nose tackle that was worthwhile, that they could make the money on, they would have gotten it. Because there's a clear need. If we could see it, the staff saw it last year. They probably saw it when they're coming in. So I don't know why we're arguing. All right. Hey, listen, thanks a lot, Dave. Appreciate it. Call us back next week.
Yeah, fight on, guys.
Fight on. Sorry, Carl. We lost 3 callers. I got a little better on the horn here tonight. I'm going to move a little faster because also my headache's coming back. But make sure that you guys have your thought in mind when you call in, and we're going to move a little bit faster through here. Except for this call, because this is a VIP. I know this phone number by heart now. Gary from Dana Point. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm a little under the weather, but since you fought through, I got to fight through. And I had real difficulty getting in because I called and it kept going to voicemail, and then I would be disconnected. But so I don't know what happened with that. But let me jump in here. I missed part of the first show because I was trying to call in about 8 times. But let me give you my usual illustration as an opener here. So this guy visits Kansas, right, which is known to be a very flat state. I mean, Kansas is very flat. So this guy goes up to the farmer and he says, well, how flat is this state? He says this state is so flat that you can watch your dog run away from home for 3 days. And in reality, and I'm moving this back now, that dog was gone after the first 5 seconds. He was long gone. So this brings me to the portal, which we have whiffed on in regard to the D line. And we've been placing a lot of our hope on a great defense, or at least a much better defense. And I love our defensive coaches, but I love our defensive backs. I'm not sure about the linebackers. I don't like the D line, but we got to do with what we got to do. And hopefully we can do well. But the idea that we're going to drive down the field on an 8-minute drive so we can keep our defense off the field, we get down the field and we kick a field goal and we miss it. Now we burn 8 minutes and we don't have a point to go for. So what I think is, where do we really have strength? We have our strength. One, according to what everybody says, Lincoln Riley is an offensive genius. Look at our offense. And I love Miller Moss. I think he's going to be good. Look at our wide receivers. My gosh, they're great. They're absolutely great. And Zachariah Branch ought to get 15 touches a game like Bush did. But we ought to really go back to the mold here and say, you know what? We hope we're a top 50 defense, and we hope that they'll hang in there with us. But we have got to be the absolute talk of the nation offensively, and I think we can be. And that can include running. One of the things about running backs is, of all the positions, I think in football, you can plug in a young running back, and he'll be just great. You see it in the NFL. Some running back out of nowhereville goes in there and he starts for the Cleveland Browns or whatever. Why? Because running backs, you can just plug them in. We've got 3 kids on campus. We got this monster, 240-pound monster coming in. I think we ought to take a look at it. Where is our goal? Our goal is on offensive talent with the greatest offensive mind in the country, I've been told. And I think we ought to eschew the idea of saying, well, we're going to hold down the score. I think we should be an offense that everybody fears. I'd put all my effort, if I was Lincoln Riley, on making this offense the talk of the nation. And we hope our defense is decent, but I'm not going to really count on winning a defensive game. So we've lost out in the portal. We're not getting any top defensive guys coming in. We've got what we've got, and it's good in some spots and it's not good in others. So I see we ought to go where the gold is, and I think it's on offense. What do you guys think?
Matt, you want to hit that first? Great call so far, Gary. Hold on. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Matt?
Well, Gary, first off, salute on playing through pain, just as my buddy Tim is here on the show. You definitely epitomize the fight on mentality. So thanks for, soldiering up here at the Voice of College Football. Well, Gary, you know that I said like a week or two ago that, ball control might be more central and necessary for USC, because of the lack of depth on this defensive line. But I can meet you in the middle, Gary. I can meet you in the middle by saying this, that, with regard to the LSU matchup, let's just look at the LSU matchup individually. LSU's secondary was terrible last year. LSU's defense was terrible last year. If you told me, Gary, you know what? Guns blazing, Miller Moss, sling it down the field, pitch and catch, throw 40 passes against LSU, probably the right game plan, actually. So, that provides some nuance to this discussion, that if USC has matchups it can hunt in the passing game, on the edges, down the field, by all means, hunt those matchups. But in a slobber knocker type game, against Penn State, for instance, against Michigan, the idea that you can just pitch and catch, throw it down the field, score 40 points and win with your offense, probably not as feasible. I would say that in those kinds of games, using the short passing game, having Miller Moss throw a bunch of checkdowns might not be sexy, but you shorten the game, and it's not so much relying on defense, Gary, so much as, if you deprive, let's say Penn State doesn't have a great offense. If you deprive Penn State of possessions, that means each and every possession Penn State has in that game on October 12 will be freighted with a lot of pressure. It's a lot like college basketball, where if you go against, Princeton or one of those slow tempo Ivy League teams that are going to milk 30 seconds on the shot clock every time down, and that team's going to shorten the game and minimize your amount of opportunities, that leads you to perhaps get tight and press and not shoot the ball as comfortably or as confidently as you want. You can translate that to football with a team such as Penn State, maybe also a team such as Wisconsin. You limit their time with the ball. You can just take their offense out of the game with your own offense. It's not even so much entrusting the defense with the game. It's not allowing a mediocre offense to get good opportunities in terms of time of possession, in terms of field position. So I think that's where we can meet in the middle, Gary, that if there are matchups to hunt in the passing game, go after them. But that's not going to uniformly apply to every game USC plays this season.
Yeah, I think the issue has been not that we know this offense is good to be a good offense. It just is going to be. The rest of the country is going to see our receiving core that's grossly underrated and opportunities that they're going to have to move the ball. That's not going to be our issue. As Matt's saying, and what I've been saying is will USC be able to take the blows? The counter to that is you better get to a hell of a lead early. That's all I'm going to say. Because that offense is a large offense are going to wear this defense down, and it's not going to be ugly. It's not going to be pretty, I think, in late in games. How can you go at that? You just start throwing points up there and scoring, because the one thing we do know is that a lot of the offenses, I'm not talking about Ohio State here and Oregon, but we're not even playing them. But a lot of the offenses in the Big Ten aren't exactly the type of offenses we're used to going up against. And it's going to come down to what is USC's game plan going to be about mitigating the major issue at depth in the middle of the field. That's just going to be it. If they can find a way to do that, USC is going to win a lot of games, and maybe it will be ugly. And I think it will be kind of get out in front and try to hold on to the end. I mean, that's how I've been looking at it a lot. We will see how that comes out. But all great points as always, Gary.
Well, thank you. I call in to get information. I don't call in to give information usually. So, but I still think that the gold on our team is on the offensive side. I just still think that we ought to make every effort to blow every team off the field. And if it puts our defense, a top 50 defense, shall we say, on the field a lot, well, they're going to be on the field a lot anyway. So I don't think it's not like we have we can't have afford to go with attrition. We're going to have attrition, and we're just going to have to go with what we got. But I think that if offense is the name of the game for us. But I do appreciate, Matt, what you said. I did listen to that. I'll have to go back and retool some of my thinking here. But anyway, I love you guys. Gosh, it's such a great show, and it's always fun to call in. It's always fun to listen, which is what I usually do. But thank you guys. And
feel better. Feel better, Gary. I hope you get better.
I will. Take care. Bye.
Fight on, Gary. That's the big question mark. It was just really disappointing. I remember we were thinking back, what this team was going to be like with the new defense, etc. And the one thing we took for granted was we did have rakes. We knew they had rakes, and we knew we had some younger guys that were going to be coming in that might be able to, as the season progressed, get ready for this season. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. So now it's going to see. We're excited about Lynn. We're excited about Coach Henney. Let's see what they could do. It's gonna be tough for them to pull us off. Thank you, caller, for waiting. Oh, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's John from Detroit.
John, thanks for calling back. How are you doing?
All right, how you guys doing tonight?
I've been better, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's put it that way. What's going on? What's your thoughts?
My thoughts is this. I mean, you guys are just talking about the wide receivers. What do you guys know about the guy from Auburn? Because I don't really know a lot about him. I didn't watch him play a lot.
He didn't post big numbers. That's what I know.
Okay. Now, to me, that's good. And the reason why I say this is because, see, I don't want to happen what happened last year. Because I felt that our younger receivers should have been a lot of them should have been on the field a lot faster. We saw a lot of potential in the bowl game, but I was screaming all year. And the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to stop the development of those 4 wide receivers. And you still got Colin Hudson coming back. And then you bring back my man from UCLA. You bringing him back. We know pretty much, you know. I mean, that's just an extra body. The one guy who I really like, and I did see him play a little bit in high school because I watched a lot of the LA games from here in Detroit, is Xavier Jordan. I was really impressed with him. I mean, really, really, truly impressed with him. He's fast. He looked like he belonged. It didn't seem like the moment was too big for him, even though it was just a spring game, but I was really, really impressed with him. So, you know, we get these wide receivers, man. We got to keep them because we don't need anybody transferring out. And I do agree with the comments that you did make about the NIL, about us signing the big kid from out of Michigan State. I think in the long run, we're going to be better off in the long run because, you know, just like you guys are saying, you know, the heart of this team has got to be recruiting. That's all I got tonight, guys. That's all I got.
I like your idea. Yeah, John, as always, great call. I like your idea about, you know, getting the young guys involved, but at the same time, is you really can't discount veteran play, you know, and savvy veterans. And I think that they did bring in. They brought back. Sorry, the better case to say it. They brought in from Auburn. Jay Fair, and then that issue, and then we talk about Hudson. I think that, you know, you might be discounting Hudson's contribution on the field this year. I know that the young guys are going to flash, but I don't think any one individual person needs to carry this offense. I think that there's going to be a lot spread around, and bringing in you forgot about Richardson coming in as well. Everyone's going to have a role in this team. I think that you're going to see those sophomores really take charge of this offense. But I do also believe at the same time that there's going to be a lot of balls spread around. So, and people get injured, you know, and people get nicked up. So we needed to build that depth. There were not a lot of guys, scholarship guys on the team before they want to add a little depth. We're talking about adding depth at nose tackle. There's other positions where we had to add depth too. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, John, question for you. John, question. You're in Detroit. Caleb Williams versus the Lions, Thanksgiving Day. Are you going to be there at Ford Field?
Yes, I'm going to try to be there. I have some friends who know that I'm a big USC fan. They know that, and I'm gonna put this out there too. The Lions, they have a 2-year window. If they don't win it in 2 years, they never win it. You got a kid in Green Bay that's young, and you got a kid in Chicago. And I got to tell guys, and they make fun and say, "Hey man, your boy, he paints his nail and he cries." I say, but and then I say this, but is he going to be a problem? And they all say, yeah, he's going to be a problem. Yes, you got a 2-year window to win this thing. Because Green Bay always seems to have a quarterback. They got a quarterback, and you got a quarterback in Chicago. And, you know, I think we're somewhere right around the 4th youngest team. But Green Bay is like the youngest team in the NFL. Now, Chicago's gotten younger, too. So I'm giving ourselves a 2-year window. But yes, I'm going to do all in my power to get to the game.
Good. You're our only caller from an NFC North market, because like there's no Marcus from Green Bay, there's no Jerry from Chicago or Minneapolis. You're our NFC North caller, so just I had to wonder if you were going to be there. So we'll look for you on that CBS broadcast.
Yeah. All right, guys.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks, John. Gary from Dana Point, thank you so much for the super chat. As always, thank you so much for your contribution to the show. It's again, every week we can count on you, and appreciate you bringing the energy and the humor, as well as thank you for your super chat as well. And then also Robbie, you guys, if you're just new to the show, Robbie's been here, you know, forever. I haven't seen him in a while, but I think I caught the chat. You guys, I'm very bad at the chat when we're doing the call-in show because I'm doing eight things at once, and I'm trying to listen to the call and Matt. But Robbie said something about he's working some extra hours. But Robbie, thank you so much. He has gifted 5 of you guys out there. Make sure you grab those Voice of College Football memberships. Appreciate you, Robbie. Hope they're not working you too hard, and hope make you a regular here throughout the season. So speaking of which, actually, you know, what I'm going to do is we can't do it here because, well, they would give us a strike or demonetize us. So I'm going to treat the other channel I have going because I'm trying to get watch hours. I think you guys let me know in the chat if you want to do it. I think we might do some rewatches over YouTube to see how long they shut me before they shut me down. They won't be monetized. I don't know if that still will work, but we will see. But if it does get shut down, it's kind of a throwaway channel at this point anyway. I haven't put any effort into it at all, except for upload 2 random videos. But go ahead and let me know in the chat. It won't be anytime soon, but if you guys want to start doing some watches, I'm trying to tweak it, because we need to figure out a way for USC Voice College Football channel. I want to find a ways that we could like literally have a call-in show and a rewatch party going on at the same time. That's something I wanted to play with for a while, and I think I can use that other channel as a guinea pig in case it gets blown up. So let me know if that's something you guys might be interested in. Just rewatching. It might be pretty brutal last year. Maybe we could watch like bowl games and things that make us happy. Maybe we can look at the last time we played Michigan, for example. We could do that if you guys want to take a peek at that. Go back into the Wayback Machine. Well, Matt, it's another show in the books. It's been about an hour. We don't have any calls on the line. We could get maybe some of these. I had some questions I've been starring the whole time. We had a pretty lively conversation. Any thoughts before we get going into some of these questions?
No, let's get these questions.
Yeah, I have my main light off, so I'm gonna get darker and darker every couple of minutes here. But first question I had, it's more of a comment. Just talking about that nose tackle position. Fred, the veteran, came in saying that you're just gonna need Pepe to step up. He's a fellow Bosco Brave, and he was quite athletic. He was a lot smaller when he came in, but he was quite athletic and did really well in the Trinity League. I want to see what he could do. He's got that size now. He's up over north of 300 pounds. Coach Henderson, he's been under his tutelage. Let's see what Kobe can do. Who knows? He might surprise a lot of people. There is a reason why they didn't overspend, Matt. I don't think they want to go in and get their butts kicked, especially with all the money you spend on the coaching staff. If they really felt like they absolutely Mayday had to get a nose tackle, I think they would have found maybe not Harmon, maybe not the top brand, but they would have just been backfilling that. So we'll see. I did not just say that they didn't try to get a nose tackle. I didn't say that. I'm saying they weren't willing to pay, $800,000 for a nose tackle. Caller, can you hold on for 1 second? You'll be our last call. And then we have
no problem.
Joe Zay is talking about the fact that he thinks that USC should be ranked. Hey, look, Joe, we'll see. We'll see. I think USC, I think it definitely should be ranked. But USC's just got to show what they could do. They're going to have plenty of opportunities. After the first game of the year, they beat LSU in Las Vegas. They will be ranked. If they were 23 or 24 or 22 and they lost to LSU, they would have been right out anyway. So basically, it's just going to be week 1. They're not ranked, but if USC wins that game, then they can start talking. And then we got Joey Foster, big friend of the show. Joey talking about USC being a baseball school. Slowly becoming, and West Virginia becoming a football school. Let me know, Joey. Let me know when you guys have 12 national titles, and then we'll start talking about Mountaineer football with USC football. Let's see, and then also talking about Mason Cobb. I'm interested. That's one big question. We keep talking about nose tackle. I'm really interested to see what these linebackers can do, Coach Entz. We got to make sure that we can keep everybody healthy. That's been an issue for USC with not only the depth, but just all the injuries on defensive line. Let's see if we can get Rajon Davis back healthy, keep him for the whole season. Cobb playing and being healthy the whole season. Another issue every time you have Gentry. Gentry's been banged up a lot of his career. So let's just see if we can get these guys and the young guys like Elijah Newby in them. There's gonna be a lot of opportunity. You guys keep an eye out on that linebacker room, because they're gonna have a big vital role to play. Now, one thing that does kind of worry me is they aren't the biggest linebacker room. I mean, Mason Cobb's a big guy, but God, I wish we could have a couple of 235 bangers in the middle there, or have a Ray Malaluga in the middle, or Brian Cushing, someone some sides in the middle to stuff that middle with the lack of nose tackle and interior line that we're going to have. Matt, any thoughts on our linebackers?
I like Mason Cobb's highly intriguing. What can Matt Entz do with this group? And that is, that's the exciting part of all this, is that you're getting a quality coach at each of these position groups. So guys who did not do a whole lot previously. I know this has been a big point of debate. Was it the players? Was it the coaches? I'm on record as saying it was the coaches. That was a bad defensive coaching staff, pretty much all the way around. And now you're bringing in upgrades at the coordinator and then the various position units. And so that's what I'm excited about, that if players were at this level last year, that the new coaching staff, each of the position coaches plus Danton Lynn can bring them several notches higher. And that can give USC, some people would like a top 20 defense. I will take top 40 right now. If you tell me USC has a top 40 defense, you put a piece of paper in front of me, I'm going to sign on the dotted line. I will sign for that right now. And I think that with the caliber of coaching we have, that's within reach. And it'll be interesting to see. So my thoughts really don't go to players, Joey. It's really more of, can the coaches take what they have and make a gourmet meal out of it? That's really the thing. Because we don't know how good the groceries actually are, but we know that last year that staff couldn't cook at all, couldn't even microwave some top ramen. Maybe this year's staff could actually create a gourmet meal.
Caller, hang on one more second, and then thank you so much, Supermax. Appreciate. You caught that earlier. Supermax was saying you can make any donation as low as $5. Just go in there and donate money, you guys. Going back to the conversation about NIL and about House of Victory. Supermax, thank you so much. I've seen you in the chat and around the USC community all the time. Thank you so much for being here and for contributing. Appreciate and value all you guys. Matter of fact, appreciating and valuing you guys. If you guys could just do me a big favor right now, and if you guys have enjoyed the show, just hit that like button for us. It really does help us out. And if you aren't subscribed, think about hitting that subscribe button right in the bottom right-hand corner. Really appreciate all of you. Sorry, caller, for all that. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
No problem, guys. This is Preston from Miami. I've called in last year. I don't know if you remember me, but just wanted to say a couple of things, man. My heart kind of dropped a couple of days ago, and I saw Suggs commit to LSU. That kind of ruffled my feathers a bit. But then I realized that we got real dudes in there now. We got a real staff. They know what they're doing. They're experienced. They're established. And I think we have what we need on the defensive line to compete. We do not have a clown defensive coordinator that does not watch film anymore. So I'm excited, man. And I am Ray Charles for the competition. I got 10+ wins, and let's get it. Ooh, fight on.
Wow, Preston coming in with 10+ wins. I'll tell you, Preston, you call back. If we get 10+ wins, we got to have something special for Preston. He coming out here and saying, you're going to need an award.
Me and my dad are going to be at the Michigan game. I think it's going to be a historic win, and I want to see you out there, man.
I'm going to absolutely do everything I can to get to that game for sure. I think it's very likely that I will be out there, Preston. And if I am, maybe we can meet up. That would be awesome. I think we're just going to be looking at, the defensive line is there's some young guys that intrigue me I think it's going to be interesting, Matt, that, is Nate Clifton, is he going to be kind of moved a little bit inside? I mean, I know he's a bit undersized, but we did have lighter players that knows to play in defensive tackle last year, and I know how that worked out, but I'm saying scheme, improved depth at other places, physical. I mean, remember, you guys, we got bigger and more physical on the outside, right? Where this team is kind of, and people are talking about, the transfer portal, I don't think you guys realize the impact. We talked about other linebackers last year. Easton Mascarenas Arnold is going to make a huge impact on this team. One of the things right away that N said when they talked about Arnold was the fact that, he's like, oh, he's our prototype Mike. He's the Mike for this defense. So I'm going to be interested to see how well he slots in with the other veterans. Cornerbacks are nasty and big and long. I mean, most of our corners are like 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", or taller. You have very, very physical safeties as well. I think this defense is gonna tackle better, which is a huge problem last year. I think this defense is gonna be prepared better and be in position. And imagine USC. Everyone keeps looking at USC only won 8 games last year. USC won 8 games last year with that defense, and so
Worst defense in the world.
We lose Caleb Williams, and I'm not going to understate that fact. But we also, had some issues on offensive line that we really are going to get into later on in the summer. I'm just seeing the maturation process of that offensive line. I do think it's going to be huge improvements in the secondary and on the second level. And I'm going to see huge differences on the offensive line. Some guy was in the chat talking about how I think I got everything wrong last year. I think I got a couple things right last year. But yeah, that was my fair share of misses as well. But let me tell you, how many of you guys thought that the defense would be worse than it was the year before? I mean, I didn't think it could get worse. So, I mean, and not many people out there did either. But Preston, I will be looking for you in Ann Arbor for sure. I'm looking for you each week to call back. Be a little bit longer in this off season, but really, there really is no off season because Matt and I will be here along with our whole USC football community on YouTube. You guys have more than enough content here to stay busy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with USCJ, Trojan Blade, the guys over at Light the Torch. You name it, I can go down the list and over and over and over again. You guys got to make sure you're checking out and supporting the other channels as well. But Preston, thank you so much for calling in. My headache is coming back screaming, and I'm losing sunlight. I didn't turn this light on right here because my headache was not going to be able to handle it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Fight on.
Thank you. Fight on, Preston. Okay, that's it for phone calls, you guys. I am going to grab a couple more comments before we get out of here, Matt, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, Walter, here's my question on this. True, but we got to be careful about statistics. Just like when we talk about how bad the Pac-12 offenses are, sometimes it's because the Pac-12 defenses are. Sometimes because the offense is so good. When we talk about how that the rushing attack isn't that good in the Big Ten, might have something to do with some of those defenses in the Big Ten. So, I mean, it goes back and forth. That's why, Walter, I was really excited to see USC and Oregon and Washington, and I forgot the other school they're called, but us four entering into the Big Ten to see. Finally, we always heard about, you guys can't stop our offense. And then they would say, you guys don't play any defense. I was interested to see how that was going to hold up. I still think that USC has improved enough on defense that'll be true. I think UCLA is kind of a train wreck right now, but, eventually, hopefully they get that figured out. And Washington's in reload. So year one for the Pac-12 is going to be if you have children, get them out of the room and plug your ears. It's probably going to be Oregon is going to hold the banner for the Pac-12 that's invading this year. But I let's hold judgment till we see how good this USC offensive line is. Because if they're as good as I think they can be. What's that, Matt?
For Walter Clark's comment, here's the thing, and I'm not disagreeing with Walter at all. I'm just saying a nuance to keep in mind as we evaluate Big Ten teams offensively, defensively, the various metrics, numbers, analytics, is that they've been operating under a divisional system, Big Ten West, Big Ten East. So Iowa, Illinois, Purdue, Minnesota, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Nebraska, they all play amongst themselves. And then Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Indiana, Rutgers, Maryland, they play, in their silo. This year, no Big Ten divisions. So like the Iowas, Purdue's, and Minnesotas, they're going to have to play the Michigans, Ohio States, Penn States a little bit more. Indiana, Maryland, Rutgers, they play those top three schools in the Big Ten less. That's good. That could, create a new jumble in terms of the statistics. So just that's something to keep in mind as we look forward to this season in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we lost Preston, but so Matt, I think we've done it. I was trying to look really quickly. I'm not sure if I've missed anybody or any super chats. You got most of them. D-Rock, another good supporter, a great supporter of the show. That was my, that was the whole theme of this is USC's depth in the middle. I think our depth around the rest of the defense is going to be solid. I think we might not want to go too deep on our offensive line, but I think we have more depth there than we've had in a while. So, I'm not worried, except for again the middle of the defense. That's where we're going to be tested early, and let's see what USC can do.
Going to get this one from LBC Robbie. Tim, Matt, defensive rankings are great, but what matters is getting off the field at the right time. Hey, no argument there. I would say, though, and I think you would agree, LBC Robbie, that if you go from being, bottom third in the FBS to top third, that, over the course of 12, 13 games, you are going to be getting off the field at the right time more often. But your point is well made and well taken, that it's less about the exact ranking in terms of a lot of cumulative numbers, cumulative stats, like how many yards you give up, because yards can be empty calories. Yards can mean a lot, but they can also be empty calories. We all know this. We're veteran football fans. That point doesn't require any explanation. So yes, LBC Robbie, if USC defense has a great third down conversions allowed percentage, give me that statistic over pretty much everything else. I would definitely agree with you. So just wanted to make sure that we're definitely agreeing with that.
Yeah. Well, that's another show in the books, Matt. Let's call it. Sorry, call you just called. We're not taking calls. I think that'd be a right new policy. We're not going to take calls after 7. We'll let the queue line up. If you're in the queue at 7, we'll honor those calls. But after 7, we can't really keep it rolling. And again, I'm losing sunlight, and I'm not going to go turn that light on because it'll kill my head.
You need 10 hours of sleep too.
I'm looking forward to that. Believe me. Megan, thank you so much for renewing your membership here at the Voice of College Football. Gary, thank you always for your super chats. And Robbie, thank you also for gifting those 5 subs here at the Voice of College Football. You guys are amazing. All of you out there, you guys are all amazing as well. Please take a second, you guys, if you haven't already, do hit that like button if you've enjoyed the show. If not, it's fine. But if you forgot to hit the like button, please hit that like button. It does really help us to grow. As always, the stars of the show, Augie and Oxnard, Adam in Georgia, Jackson in Alabama, Dave in Iowa, Dave from Iowa, and Gary, obviously from Dana Point, John from Detroit, and Preston from Miami. Thank you guys. You guys are the show. We can't do it without you. Appreciate you guys all being here every week. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe out there, and enjoy your weekend. Any final thoughts, Matt?
Just take care of that headache and have yourself a big old party tomorrow night, Tim. No one deserves it more.
Appreciate that, Matt. And a big thank to Fight On Rusty over on Twitter for giving us our part of our new intro. We'll see all you guys on Monday night, and then also back next Friday at 6 p.m. for our call-in show every week, 52 weeks a year. Fight on. See you guys all later.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.